Welcome to Joy, Passion, and Profit, where we empower entrepreneurs to build companies that change the world. We believe there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur, and our goal is to provide you with insight and wisdom to bring your vision to reality. If you're committed to making an impact as well as making a profit, let us welcome you to Joy, Passion, and Profit. Welcome to Joy, Passion, and Profit, where our intention is to empower entrepreneurs to build companies that change the world. Now, this show is based on a lesson that I learned from my grandfather. When I was approximately 10 years old, I'll never forget, I walked up to my grandfather and I said, "You know, Grandpa, when I get older, I am going to be rich." And he asked me, he says, "Well, how are you going to do that?" I said, "I'm going to own my own company." He said, "That's a great goal to have. Now, if you're going to be rich, I'm going to give you the two things you need to know." And he said, the first lesson you need to understand is if you're going to be rich, you have to learn to think like rich people. Because the only difference between rich people and poor people is how they think. Secondly, if you're going to be rich, you have to learn to listen. He says that means you listen to people who have what you want. He says, now, rich people will tell you how they got rich. So when I say listen, that means you read their stories. You use them as role models. You learn from them so that you can take the information you get from them and apply it to yourself. He says, if you do that, you can be successful. And those two lessons I've stayed with my entire life. And like I said, I was about 10 years old. I started my first company when I was 14 years old. And so the intention here is to share information and to use those two principles. And that second principle, which is listening, is why I'm bringing on these amazing guests to share information and wisdom with you to empower you to become the best entrepreneur you can possibly be. So I've got a great guest that's going to share some powerful information. Her name is Precious. Oh, I love that name.
I know, right?
And we're going to be talking about the art of pitching. And we're going to go into detail if you don't know what that is. So without further ado, let's welcome Miss Precious to the show. Precious, how you doing today, sweetie?
I'm just good. I'm good. I'm doing well, feeling good in the neighborhood, living my life like it's golden. Blonde.
Absolutely. Well, again, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. And before we jump into your work, I want to just kind of start off with some icebreaker questions just to get you into the groove and get people to know a little bit about you. So first of all, tell us where you're from and share a little bit about growing up, whatever you want to share.
I'm from the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri, and I grew up with a very abusive mother and a father who was severely addicted to crack cocaine. So for the first 15 years of my life, it was a series of, broken noses, broken jaws, beatings, just being mistreated, abused, abandoned, neglected, not being able to eat, just being frustrated with this is how my life really is. And my father wasn't around to see what was going on because he was in and out of trap houses. They call it trap houses today, but back then it was just drug dens. And my mother almost beat me to death on November 18th, 1991. And so the fact that I'm here is a miracle. After I was taken out of her custody, after she, cut me up, abused me, and left me to die from the beating, I was sent to go live with my father, again, a drug addict. And I was eating out of garbage cans. I lived in places with no heat, no hot water, no electricity, and just having to fend for myself. I was such a violent and angry child, so violent and angry. And I look back like, wow, that really was me back in the day. And then my grandparents came in when I was 15 years old, and they took me in because I was wanted by them. And they thought that they could give me the type of life that I should be accustomed to, where I was loved and honored and supported and guided. And they did that for 3 years before I went off to college. And I have to say that my grandmother, whose name is Precious Williams, also she's deceased. She's been deceased since 2000. She was such a wonderful woman. And for all the mistakes she may have made with her children, she was a flawless parent to me. She sat me down with affirmation. She listened to me. She cooked home-cooked, breakfasts and lunches and dinners for me. She drove me to and from school. She always wanted to listen to what I had going on. She loved hearing about my high school experience. And, you know, she was just a wonderful person. And my grandfather bankrolled the operation. He had 3 pensions and they were both retired. So just being with them, you would think being with old people would be horrible. It was so not. It was fun. It was so fun.
Wow.
Always a bowl of laughs in the house.
What an inspirational story. I mean, I'm blown away, because when I look at who you are today, coming from that environment, that is a really inspirational story. So thank you so much for sharing that little piece of yourself with us. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So next, name a book that you love and tell me why you love it.
I loved Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. He was a Clark Atlanta professor of, I want to say business and entrepreneurship, but for some reason his name is escaping my mind. But he was there when I won Black Enterprise Elevator Pitch Competition in 2013. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. I loved reading that book because here it is, an esteemed, you know, business scholar is giving people of color, especially Black people, the tools to make it in business, and taking the time-tested principles of Think and Grow Rich and apply it to our situation specifically. I loved there were some moments in there that was so, like, he was firing on all cylinders, but just knowing that as an African-American, as a Black woman, success is not denied to me. It's not. And I had to change my mindset about running a business and knowing that I'm capable, I'm worthy, and I need to study the greats and I need to read their biographies. And I was already watching biography on A&E. I was already watching Intimate Portrait on Lifetime. I was watching Behind the Music, because I never was satisfied with the glitz and glamour of success. I was always wanting to know, what did they overcome? Because that's going to serve me. Not looking at Beyonce today, oh, that's great. But I want to know about the times that she had to lose all of that weight and put together a tour and, you know, lose all of that weight, or all the things that she went through, or all the things that these great Black businesses have gone through, you know, failed businesses, family and friends not supporting you. How do you keep going when you have no money in your bank account? How do you become even more resourceful? How do you just keep going when everything is against you? And you hear all the time, it's always darkest before dawn. And it is so true. It is so true. Your breakthrough is on the other side of your comfort zone. And I had to get uncomfortable an awful lot. And reading that book made me feel like, you know what? I'm in good company.
Yeah.
People don't wake up successful. They grind for it.
Right. Yeah. I remember when I read that book, I was just enamored with the idea, first of all, that here's this brother that's sharing this information that I had always felt in my heart was possible. See, I've never bought into the victim mentality.
Right.
And even though, you know, I never went to college, but I've always been a huge reader, an avid reader.
Yes.
I remember reading that book and thinking, oh man, because I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 13 years old. The original Napoleon. The original Napoleon Hill. And I remember specifically because in the book, there was one word that I could never say, and it was definiteness of purpose. I'll never forget that. I'd go to my grandfather and say, how do you say this word? How do you say this word? Definiteness. And I couldn't say that word, but it stuck with me. But anyway, when I read Dennis Kimbrough's book, I was like, see, I knew there were brothers out there that think like this. And so as my grandfather told me, you got to think like rich people. And when Dennis Kimbrough came out with that book, seeing a man of color follow those principles, I was like, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm definitely on the right track. So yeah, great book. Now. Definitely.
I read about moguls. I read business biographies, but also just, you know, I don't want to call it self-help, but just actualizing yourself. Like, just because your reality looks precarious doesn't mean that your vision is wrong. You need to let your vision dictate your reality, not your reality dictating your vision.
Right. Absolutely. I agree 100%. Now, if you love movies, share a movie that you love and tell me why you love it.
Oh, wow. I just saw John Wick. I never think of it, but I thought it was awesome. A movie that there are two movies I've always loved. Goodfellas.
Okay. Gangster.
The Lean. Okay. And I've always loved The Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh,
being able to outwit, outplay, and outlast everyone who did you dirty.
Yeah.
and just keep it quiet, but you know you're getting out.
Yep.
It may take years. It may take frustration. It may take, sometimes pulling your hair out, or in my pulling my wig off, and knowing that it's possible.
Yeah. And
telling your good friend, I'll see you on the outside, and they never really knowing, and you're like, no, I'll see you again.
Yeah, that's a beautiful.
My friend, I'll see you again.
It's a beautiful film. Love.
Shawshank, like, I love Forrest Gump, but when I finally saw The Shawshank Redemption, I thought that should have won the Oscar, because I was like, now that's a deep film. Not taking anything away from Tom Hanks, but The Shawshank Redemption is something I could watch over and over again and just be like, I'm still picking up clues. I'm still like learning little things. And then with Goodfellas, who doesn't like a good gangster movie? where it's not gonna wind up okay.
Yeah.
But you at least get to see the behind the scenes of everything, and not just the glitz and glam, but just how ugly that life can be. Yeah. And what's presented to you is not always what it is.
Right. Now, there are some people who are optimistic about the future, while others are pretty pessimistic. So where do you fall on that spectrum between optimism and pessimism for the world in general? Where do you fall?
It's so funny. I look at the world positively. And I know it's hard for most people to believe, going through half the things that I've gone through. But the fact that I'm still standing like Elton John, the fact that last night, I'll bring it in focus. Last night I was teaching at WeBo, which is Workshop and Business Opportunities for low-income entrepreneurs who are, really trying to get their businesses off the ground. So I volunteer and teach. I volunteer and teach 4 times during their sessions. And last night was about the elevator pitch. And I'm talking about, my experiences being a 13-time national elevator pitch champion, doing it at 327 pounds, when everybody expects a woman of a certain weight to be, walk in and all dumpy and lumpy, and talking about food. And here I am talking about full-figure divas and plus-size fashionistas and dressing the part. Like, I didn't walk in wearing rainbow clothes. I walked in wearing Calvin Klein. I was looking nice. I was G'd up in these streets. So I'm talking about my past, and I'm also talking about how my past informed my present, which dictates how I see the future. Because we serve a good God, and because our God gives us a vision, the vision has never been wrong. My circumstances may have said it could not happen, but my vision was so clear. And so there was a young lady in the audience, a young lady who's a student, and she ran out of the room. Later, when she came back, she said, "Your story is my story." She said, "I didn't believe that anyone who came from such a dark place could be at your level." And I'm looking at her, and it was like looking in the mirror and giving her this thing that it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It took 2.5 years of constantly grinding and thugging it out. And if I didn't believe I had purpose, I do now. And as she was looking, she was going to commit suicide last night. And she came to class and she heard my story. And she heard how I was able to take nothing, no teaching, no nothing, and turn it into over $150,000 in prize money to build my company, my first company. Take that into starting my second company, which was my law firm. Take it into my third company, which is Perfect Pitches by Precious. And still, I was homeless 2.5 years ago. I was eating out of garbage cans. I was a severe alcoholic. All of those things happened. And look at me now. I haven't taken a drink in 2.5 years. I live well. I fly. I travel. I go all over the world. And I feel so good that my vision still remained clear. And if I could help her, which I was talking on the phone with her earlier today, giving her resources and stuff like that. And I said, don't give up. It's darkest before dawn. And I don't care how dark it looks. I know it. Listen, I rode the trains at night because I had no place to stay. That's how far down the totem pole I was. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Nice. And
so I have a very positive outlook for the world. Yes, I understand that things are happening in politics. Yes, I understand that global warming, climate change is happening, but that doesn't stop my story from happening. That doesn't stop people in my network from knowing I'm going to keep it, thugging it out and be positive And not positive for Pollyanna's sake, but positive in that they want you to fail. The greatest revenge is success. Show them that you're successful and you'll silence all doubters.
There you go. There you go. All right. Icebreaker session is over. Now, I want you to introduce Precious to the world. Tell them exactly what you do, because you kind of touched upon it, but let's give us a resume.
So good day, everyone. My name is Precious Williams, and I'm the proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious, where I teach the art and the science of the most killer elevator pitches for networking events, media pitches that attract media to you, whether it's television shows, radio shows, podcasts, and how to get investors interested in you with a killer investor pitch so that you get to the next meeting and get to the check, the queens. I also teach new and emerging speakers how to successfully build their speaking practices so that conference organizers and event planners are attracted to them and want to book them. I also teach professional speakers or seasoned speakers how to get paid speaking engagements. Because we all know, ain't nobody trying to speak for free forever. Ain't nobody trying to do that in these streets. Oh no. So I'll say this. Do you want to be a bad bitch with a power pitch? Then you should check out Perfect Pitches by Precious, where I am the #killer pitch master, and I will help you slay all competition. Trust and believe. Have no doubt, because I don't.
Now, you said you're a 13-time national elevator pitch champion, which, to be honest, I didn't know that even existed. But I got that you just gave us a powerful pitch. You came across in a way that enrolled me in what you do. And that's the power of a pitch. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But my question, though, is you're also an attorney, a lawyer.
I'm a former attorney.
Former attorney. But how did you go from being a lawyer to being the killer pitch master? Or why did you do that, I guess?
Great question. So when I was younger, I used to watch Perry Mason and Matlock and LA Law. You know, I was in it. And I just always saw myself as better than Johnny Cochran. When he says the glove must fit, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. I was like, oh, I can't wait till they ain't ready for me. I'm gonna have my point on point. And then I realized I have to have the case to have the actual pitch right. That's okay. It's a different story for a different day. So I always knew I wanted to be an attorney. And I went to Spelman College on a full ride. I went to Georgetown University Law Center on a full scholarship. Got kicked out in 2002. Started at Rutgers School of Law, Newark in 2003 and graduated in 2007. I was probably the worst law student ever in history. But when it came to being a litigator as a student attorney, I was the #1 student attorney in my class. When I was in law school, I had a nervous breakdown. And I wore the same clothes over and over again, didn't take showers. It was just enough for me to just crawl into school, right? And when I had my last semester, which snuck up on me, I'm shocked it snuck up on me. I said, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to go to the Urban Legal Clinic, which is the hardest clinic next to the Constitutional Litigation Clinic. And I had real cases, real time on the line for people. And I had no fear. When I saw the prosecutors who looked nothing like me, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. I started putting on my suit, taking my showers, showing up in hot pink and hot purple with a mohawk. Oh, I came to kill. I came to slay. And they didn't know what to do with me. And it gave me this energy that I have a purpose, and my purpose is the gift of speech. I'm dramatic, ridiculous, out of the box, and it worked. And I'm a Black woman, and it worked. So I practiced. I successfully passed the bar on my first try. I worked for Sullivan and Cromwell. I worked for the ACLU National Legal Department. I worked for a judge in the Southern District of New York. All of these are very prestigious. And my GPA was not prestigious. How did I even get into those situations? The power of the pitch. Being able to read situations and being able to read people and being able to rise to the occasion each and every time. So I was an attorney and I hated it. I didn't like going to work from 7 a.m. to 12 midnight. I didn't particularly like the work that I did. And I was looking for a way out. And I started dating a famous Hollywood actor. And he inspired Curvy Girls Lingerie out of me because I was a, full figure diva. And I couldn't find anything to wear, any sexy lingerie. And I said, if I can't find it, I'll create it. Doesn't make any sense in the natural, as Joel Osteen says. But I created the company by winning pitch competitions. And because I was winning pitch competitions, people always assumed it's because I was an attorney, not knowing I've been a professional speaker since I was 16 years old. So if I get nervous, it's only up until it's showtime. And then all nervousness leaves me. When I get on stage, it is my Broadway performance. And I'm going to showcase and I'm going to show you why I am the best in the world at what I do. And that's how it happened.
And I know that feeling, being on stage, nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
And don't listen. Don't listen. Don't be hyped before I get there, because I'm going to turn it out. Gotcha.
Now, I want to make a couple of distinctions because you've kind of touched upon the three areas, because obviously we're targeted towards entrepreneurs. And so the entrepreneurs that are watching this, we want to make sure that they get some value out of this. They need to understand the importance of pitches, because in life, you're always making pitches, whether you realize it or not. You're rolling yourself and you're rolling people into you and who and what you do. But I want to just kind of break down for the entrepreneurs. You said that there's elevator pitches, there's media pitches, and there are investor pitches. So as an entrepreneur, should I have 3 separate pitches?
You need, as an entrepreneur, it depends on who you're going after.
Okay.
So every entrepreneur needs an elevator pitch. Period, point blank. A 30 to 60 second, short, brief, but informative way of introducing yourself, your business, who you serve, and what makes you stand out and be unique. That's what you need in your elevator pitch. Okay. There are a couple more things you need also, because you need to kick it up a notch. Don't be basic. But those are the things you need in your elevator pitch. And you just need a short time, a short window to get them interested in what it is that you're saying, to want to take a meeting with you, or want to follow up on LinkedIn, follow up in person, follow up on the phone, follow up on Zoom. 30 to 60 seconds. There are people like me who, I love media. I love being on television, and I love talking about the power of pitching and how to kill it in pitching. And so I created a media pitch for myself, not knowing that that's what I was going to do. And I walked into an event one day, and MSNBC was in the room, and I walked up to the producers and I pitched, not knowing that that's what I was doing. And they put me on the show Elevator Pitch with JJ Ramberg in September 2012. I'll never forget that. And that means talking yourself. And with a media pitch, you're not selling your company, because they can't do a story on every business. There has to be something about you that is so unique. Something about your company that's so unique is tapping into something that's trendy, something that's timely, something that, that people need to know about right now. And you're tapping on the pulse of that. And you happen to have this great company that is servicing whatever ideal target market that they're looking for. So a media pitch is not 30 to 60 seconds. It can be done in an email. It can be done in person like I did. And I think I had 2 or 3 minutes to sell them and to give them my media pitch. And it just went like that, right? So again, the elevator pitch is all about, just getting the basics about what, who you are, your name of your company, what you do that's different, and who you serve, right? The media pitch is geared more towards television, radio, podcasts, social media. And then when it comes to investor pitches, that is strictly for those who are looking for investors, angel investors, VCs, stuff like that. That pitch comes with a pitch deck. So it's not just talking. You have to have a pitch deck, PowerPoint presentation, something that, really talks about your numbers, dresses it up in a story, and really gets you really want to get to the next meeting. So an investor pitch will never just, we're going to give you money right away. You want to entice them, enroll them, and get them in the next meeting. And then that's when you can really explode. I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. Thank you for that clarification, because I've experienced all three, and I love how you've broken that down, because they are three separate things, but they all have the same intention, which is to get you in front of the person or sell you and your services. So,
right.
Great. So now you wrote a blog and you talked about the common communication barriers when presenting. And I think it's really powerful for entrepreneurs to really understand this. So we're going to talk about this. I want you to kind of break these down, because communication is just that. You're communicating, you're sharing information, you're sharing yourself, and you want to do it in a way that you enroll whoever's listening into who you are and what you're doing. So the first thing you mentioned is fear and anxiety. Now, we all know about fear. Everybody got the fear. Scared of
everybody got it.
So when we start talking about communication, fear and anxiety be one of the biggest anxieties. So speak to that a little bit to the entrepreneur who may be struggling with that.
You know, the first thing that came to mind as you were talking was get over it. And I don't mean that in a crass way.
Just do it. Boom.
What I mean is, fear is always going to be there, and it's always going to be one of those barriers that you're going to have to overcome. Do you want to be the entrepreneur that barely gets by, or do you want to be the entrepreneur that transcends and impacts others? Let your fear propel you forward. My greatest fear is to be unknown, unrecognizable, and to never have impacted anyone. So I had to get over my fear of being the fat girl, the funny one. I had to get over being the chocolate chick, not the light-skinned one with the green eyes. I had to get over a whole lot of things that people threw at me and they said I wouldn't make it. And what I realized is when you are different and you own your difference and you're no longer bound by, I should look like, I should sound like, I should talk like, that's where the real magic begins. So many of us put on these masks and think we're supposed to be like someone else, and you don't. The greats, they might have had idols and people that they looked up to, but they had to chart their own course. And I hope that from anyone listening to me, that they know I don't want to be the next Oprah, Wendy Williams, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols. I want to be the first Precious Williams. And I did it my way. Old blue eyes glistening. So in what I'm asking you to do is to be free to be yourself. And as scared as you are, think about what will happen if you don't. The price you pay for challenging the status quo is less than the price you will pay for regret of not trying in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want you to understand this, audience. This is something that I've learned as a speaker. Fear and excitement actually feels the same in your body. The energy that you feel, that fear, is based on the thoughts you're having about that energy that you feel. So as a speaker, let's say, for example, you're getting on stage and you have this fear. It's an energy that you feel inside your body, but it's usually based on, what if I forget my words? What if I don't know what I'm going to say? So the fear is driving that energy. But if you flip the script and say, this energy is fuel, this energy is enthusiasm, this energy I can use, then everything changes, because the excitement feels in the body the same as fear. But the words and the thoughts that we're having about that energy is what's going to dictate how you react. So for example, for me, I never get scared going on a stage. I honestly don't. And the reason I don't get scared is because my focus is on how can I serve the people I'm about to speak to. So I'm not worried about forgetting my words. I'm saying, how can I serve? And yes, I get that energy. Trust me, I get lit up inside. There's a fuel in there that's just like, come on, let's go. Now, it hasn't always been this way. When I first started speaking, sure, There was fear, no question about it. But you learn to move past it. You learn to feel it and use it and not allow it to use you. So don't get trapped in your fear.
Please don't.
Fuel. Use it as fuel. Now, the next thing you talk about is lack of enthusiasm. Now, one of the things that really kind of irks me just a little is when I see a speaker that I know is getting paid good money to be giving this presentation, and he's like, "Hi, my name is Michael, and I want to talk."
Irritates me to no end.
And there's no enthusiasm, there's no energy. So speak a little bit to the lack of enthusiasm and why it's important to have enthusiasm as a speaker.
I know exactly what you're talking about. There is a particular person that I met on a particular show that I listened to her speak and I was mortified. I was like, you getting paid all these coins and I would run circles around you with no speech prepared. So let me tell you this. Nobody likes boring. Nobody likes boring. People will be doing this all the time while you're talking. That is so whack. I don't get those. That doesn't happen when I speak. Passion changes everything. If you're not passionate about what you're speaking about, why are you speaking about it? If you have no energy, no passion, no intensity, you don't need to be a speaker. You need to take that testicular fortitude, that's what Farrakhan says, testicular fortitude, and rock the house. If you're a quiet storm or an introvert, you can still rock the house. You can be that quiet storm who's so powerful with one glance, all of us are like, what's she gonna say next? Or you can be like the two of us. We bring in that energy. When I hit a stage, I come in so ready, so hungry, because I'm about to attack. I'm about to share with you true content, actionable content. I'm not there to tell you my sob story. I have a purpose to what it is that I'm talking about. And if you don't have a purpose, don't get on the stage. Is it to educate? Is it to entertain? Is it to inform? Is it to transform, inspire, motivate? What is the purpose? You have to think about your audience. What are their pain points and what are their needs?
Right.
Not what you want to say. What are their needs? Dig into what keeps them up at night. Dig into it. Get all in the sauce. And don't be afraid to be authentically you. The reason why I tell my stories in the midst of my talking about pitching, presentation skills, public speaking, all of that is because it humanizes me. I don't become the one that they put on the pedestal. I become, wow, if she can do it, I can too, and I need her help. Not only is she dropping knowledge like it's hot, she cares enough to give her very best. If all you're gonna do is get on stage, hello, my name is Precious Williams. I am the CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. I wouldn't listen to anything that person said. I'd be just doing one of these numbers. Oh, you don't say that? That's what happened? All right, okay, cool. Is she still talking? Oh, okay. Be the gift your audience needs, not just talking because you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's an amazing thing when you really get into the zone of speaking. I can only speak for myself, but I feed off of the audience.
Yes. I feel like a total rock star.
When I'm there, I know if they're engaged or not.
Yes, you do.
You can feel it. And
yes.
It's not just looking at people getting bored. For me, I just get a feeling if for whatever reason I need to shift the energy a little bit.
Yes.
It's a feeling that you get. And it's hard to put into words, but you get into that space.
Real recognizes real. So we real G's in this. We real.
Absolutely.
We understand.
And
I understand what you're saying.
When you're there, and for me, again, my whole thing is being in service. Speaking to me is a way of being in service. So if I'm feeding that audience and being in service to them, they're going to get it. And again, I bring it all. I bring the energy, the passion, the love, all of it. Boom. And it works. It helps people. But it's really about authenticity. There's some people that have a lot of energy and they can make a lot of noise and they can be loud, but there's no heart.
True.
There's no connection. So you got to combine the two when you're doing it. So let's jump to number 3. And this is something I really want you to speak to because there are a lot of people that really have good talent, but they're, number one, they've got that fear, but they don't think they have enough experience to be a great speaker because they haven't been on a lot of stages. So speak to the importance of, number one, recognizing that lack of experience shouldn't keep you from becoming a great speaker.
In fact, we all started somewhere.
Absolutely.
Everybody started somewhere. Everybody started with that lack of being on stage. And if anything, that should spur you forward because we all did it. Yes, I've been a speaker for 24 years. So people like to give short shrift to me at times, like, oh, you've been doing this so long. Ask me how long have I been doing it well? Yeah, I've been doing it a long time, but how long have I been doing it well? It takes a while to build that up, but you want to keep going. Keep going. You get better and better. You get better at reading the audience. You get better at telling your stories. You get better at timetables. You get better at, knowing what to say to this audience, what stories to feed to this audience. You get better and better. So you keep going. And all of us had to do that until we had our breakthrough. We were like, I'm getting it. You don't always, at 24 years of being a professional speaker, you never are so perfect. And I love that. I love that when things can go wrong and a professional knows how to go through anything. Oh, your program isn't showing up your PowerPoint isn't showing up. They don't have this for you. They forgot to print out your documents. That, like, all sorts of things go wrong. But as a professional, and that only comes with time and repetition, you can do anything. Absolutely. It's like that 10,000 hour rule. I definitely have had that. But ask me how long have I been doing this well? I feel the energy of a crowd. I feel it before I step out there. One of the things that I do, and this isn't a sidebar, you know what I do to get my fans and followers and my family? That's what they are to me. They pick out my wigs. They pick out my clothes. They pick out, I say, this is what I think I'm talking about. What do y'all think? And my fans just love to tell me what they're thinking, what they think I should talk about and everything like that. Those are that becomes love. That's love. Enroll other people, enroll your support network in what you're doing. They're going to be there through the good times and the bad. Every speaker's had a bad moment. Everyone, I don't care what they say. We're not even going to discuss that today. Get people enrolled in you and in your success. Yeah. You can let your haters be your motivators, but you see, they pick my wigs out. They do everything with me because I want to show the behind the scenes of what professional speaking looks like. That's repetition and time are your greatest allies.
Absolutely. Now, here's something that I think some people may not think about, which is the overuse of gestures. Now, my mom used to tell me, boy, if you didn't have hands, you couldn't say a word. I've always been, even as a kid, when I would talk, my hands would be moving. But you have to be conscious of that. So talk a little bit about the overuse of gestures.
Right. You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, just talk a little bit about it.
So I don't so much, I've sat here for the most part with my hands in my lap. But when I get excited.
There it goes.
I don't overdo it, but I've been doing it so long. I expect people in the beginning to overly gesture until they get confident in what it is that they do. So I'm not here to be the gesture police. It takes time to figure out your rhythm. It takes time to know how to walk out. It takes time to make that dramatic pause before you begin. So you're like Tupac, all eyes on me. It comes with time. And I don't mean to make it seem like there aren't concrete examples, but again, we all come to certain things in time. I'm sure when I first started, now it's showtime. Sometimes I use my hands and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm so impactful with the words that I'm saying, no gesture is needed.
Yeah.
But that takes time, and it takes working with a great coach. And I suggest every speaker have a coach who has been where you want to go who's been in the trenches and is still in the trenches, getting those speaking engagements and showcasing how they're doing it. It's very hard to just start off speaking with no help. I did that.
Yeah.
I started off with no help, and I never did Toastmasters or anything like that. I think I'm a rare breed, but over time, I started to realize, let me invest in myself to get better.
Yeah. And that's the key, finding your own rhythm, because naturally you'll have a way of expressing yourself physically.
Right.
As a speaker, there's a physicality aspect to it as a speaker that it'll come natural the more you do it, but you've got to find your rhythm. And I remember when I first started speaking, it was more of a nervousness,
right.
kind of, but you'll get into your groove. So don't be afraid to move, because that's a part of it, but be authentic with it. Know that you have to get into your own zone, and you'll know by your own feeling inside when you're doing it, when it's appropriate, when it's not, and so forth. So, but
Definitely.
understanding that it's important to have gestures and movement, I think, as a speaker.
And don't use the podium as your crutch. As
Right.
you get better in speaking, walk away from the podium.
Yeah.
Walk away.
I don't like podiums.
I don't either, but I do like it as a show of, I don't like podiums to stand behind them, but
Right.
I do love walking away from them and showing them, I don't need that.
Right.
That's for amateurs. I'm
Yeah.
a pro.
Yeah. And that goes back to also, which, just a quick note, don't get into the habit of reading speeches. Make your bullet points, let your heart talk, and just go from there. Memorizing speeches. And one of the biggest mistakes I made, I remember I was with Toastmasters, and I've never been one to memorize speeches, but I was in a contest, my first contest. And so I memorized this speech. It's only like a 5-minute speech, and I memorized it. Big mistake, because what I found as a speaker, because of my trust with my connection to source, you can call source God, whatever you want to call it. But for me, I know that when I have an outline and I have some bullet points that I want to make, sometimes the words come to me that are better than I prepared for.
When you wrote it.
it just flows. And so when you get into that groove, trust me, your higher self, as I understand it, will give you the words to say. You get into this groove where, for me, it's like I know that there's something bigger than me that's moving through me when I'm speaking a lot of times. And sometimes I even surprise myself what comes out of my mouth. It's like, what? God, that was pretty good. So the point here is that it should be a natural expression of who you are. Now, there will be times when obviously you have to read certain things to maybe quote statistics. That's okay. But make sure that you get into the habit of not using notes. That's important. Train yourself to do that. So last thing I want to talk about, Precious, which thank you for covering some very valuable information, is the importance of speaking on what you love.
Yeah.
So many people speak, for example, I know when I first started speaking, any opportunity I got to speak, I would speak. Even if it was a topic that I wasn't really passionate about, I knew I could talk about it, but I really didn't have the heart for it. So talk just a little bit about choosing topics that you're passionate about and why that's so important.
I call these your signature talks. These are the things that you could do day in, day out, roll out of bed, crust in your eye, and you could just give it. I only speak about pitching, public speaking, presentation skills. I don't speak on a full gamut of things because could I speak on them? Of course I could, but could I bring that passion, energy, and intensity to it? No, I cannot, and they can feel that. As a speaker, what topics really get, just are your zhush, are the things that I got to get it out. I got to talk about it. And what are the topics you're like, could I speak about leadership? Of course I could. Should I? I can speak about sales. I can speak about rockstar confidence. I can teach you how to get media attention. Should I be speaking about, mental illness and diagnoses and stuff. Can I? Should I? I don't have any passion for it.
Yeah.
So focus on the things that give you joy in talking about. The things that you're an expert in, not the things that you're hoping to be an expert in, that you're hoping to grow to love, that you think is the trendy thing of the moment. Focus on what it is you're passionate about. And you'll be surprised. There are conferences that go on every day of the year in multiple hotels around the country and around the world. There is a spot for you. There's a spot, but you have to be clear about what you can contribute. If what you want to contribute doesn't light you up, don't get on that stage. I don't care what they're paying you. Don't do it.
That's it. Wow. See, I saw your link or your connection on LinkedIn, and I said, I got to interview this sister because she bringing it. I was like, what? It was just something about you. And I'm so glad we had this opportunity to chat. Unfortunately, time flies when you're having
Time's up.
So we're gonna wind this down. But first of all, I want to give you an opportunity to share how can people contact you if they're interested in your services.
Okay. So again, my name is Precious Williams, like they are in the dictionary in the Bible. Same thing. My website is www.perfect, P-E-R-F-E-C-T, pitches, P-I-T-C-H-E-S, by B-Y, Precious, Precious.com. I'm on Twitter at Perfect Pitch P. I'm on LinkedIn as Precious Williams. And if you look further down, in case there are a couple of Precious Williams, notice the one that says Killer Pitchmaster. There's only one in the world, and that's me. Let's see, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, I'm at Perfect Pitches P. And my email address is precious at perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. And I look so forward to speaking with you, working with you, and taking your pitches and your speaking skills to the next level completely.
And there will be a link below the video once I post it for your main website. So if you want to find her there, you'll be able to click on the link to do that. Now, one other little question just kind of popped up in my head just now, because I know that your primary market are women. I'm curious, in terms of working with men, are they intimidated by how powerful you are?
Some are. Most aren't.
Okay.
Most aren't. They can recognize talent and they're like, I need that.
Let's just go with it.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, it has been an absolute joy and a passion to have you on the Joy, Passion, and Profit podcast. You are just amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, and I look forward to maybe some more possible collaborations, because I think we'd be a perfect...
collabo.
It's been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. And so once again, Precious Williams, she brings it. She brings it. So if you need some services in any of the areas we've talked about, be sure and check her out. She can empower you to do what I know you're capable of doing, and maybe you don't know, but she can help you find it. All right. So this has been another episode of Joy, Passion, and Profit. And so remember, express your joy, share your passions, and be grateful for your profits. We'll see you next episode. Take care. Thanks for joining us here at Joy, Passion, and Profit. Always remember, you are the master of your own destiny and the captain of your own ship. There are no limits to what you can accomplish, and you are only limited by your imagination. Dream big and navigate your ship in the direction of your dreams, and once you get there, reach back and grab someone else and show them how to reach theirs. We'll see you next episode.